Isaiah 32. Behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, a rock in a weary land. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. Welcome to the kingdom!
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakakwadash, pushing to get up out of there. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bahashem Al Shai. All right, and what I want to get into, this with this lesson, with this live stream, is that the right way, and when I say the right way, we're going to get, wealth, fame, true power. We're going to have it in its true essence, not the delusion, okay? Not the illusion of wealth, the illusion of power, the illusion of fame, on this side, okay, that most of our people, would die for. Most of our people, would sell all their morals, sell their soul, okay, get caught up in wickedness and rituals to get on this side, which is temporal, which is corrupted, okay, which is more of an illusion than actual, wealth and power, okay. But the Lord has the elect on the path, to get it the right way, okay, in righteousness, you see, beginning with true power. See, we're going to have true power in the kingdom, okay, not the illusion of power from the slave master Esau, okay. We're going to have true wealth, okay, not this paper money, all right, they can be cut on and off like a light switch from Esau, okay. We're going to have it the right way, doing it, going through the path, walking the path of Yahushua, following Yahushua, and we're going to get everything forever, okay. So matter of fact, let's go here. Let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 9. All right, this is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 24. It says, know ye not that they which run in the race run all, but one receiveth the prize, so run that ye may obtain. Okay, now Apostle Paul is comparing this, this journey of faith, to a competition, to a contest. How, athletes, okay, will go all out, to win the race. Okay, now we're not competing with each other. Okay, but we are competing with what? Ourselves. The old man, because the truth is about outrunning the old man. When you break it down, and as we become or are becoming, because it's an ongoing process, are becoming new creatures. The truth is about outrunning that old man. Okay, and following Yahushua, being pleasing to Yahushua. Okay, becoming that new creature, that new man that's pleasing to Yahushua. You see, verse 25, it says, and every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. See, we're doing this for an incorruptible crown. Okay, the power we're going to get from Yahushua, his return, that's going to be incorruptible. We'll never have to compete for that power again. We'll never have to compete for their wealth again. We'll never have to compete for their status again. It's going to be solidified, and it's going to continue to increase forever. You see? So what we're on the quest for is incorruptible. You see? Our people, they go all out. All right? Because you're going to this word. Let's get this word. Mastery. Let's get this word mastery in temper. So you get this word mastery, because
Strong's G75. Agonizamai. Agonizamai.
Agonizamai. Okay. Now it says to enter in contest, to contend with adversaries, to fight, and we know this is a spiritual war. This is a fight. So it's a fight with the old man. It's a fight against the left hand, and stay, because once we're awakened, the thing is to stay woke. Once we are removed from darkness, it's a fight to not to go back to the darkness, man. It says to contend, metaphor, to contend, to struggle with difficulties and dangers, to endeavor with strenuous zeal, to strive, to obtain something, man. So to endeavor with strenuous zeal, man, this thing is a fight, man. This is a labor. We're striving for these incorruptible crowns, and we're doing it the right way. You see? We're going to be blessed forever, and it's going to be the right way, man. That's what's going to be so great about it, that we didn't have to sell out to the enemy, man. We didn't have to become a weapon to our own people. We didn't have to mislead our own people. Okay? We didn't have to betray ourselves as Israelites. Okay? But no, we did it the right way. You see, we went through, if we make it to the kingdom and we're rewarded, man, we're going to have, okay, the record that, Lord, we went through the straight gate. We took losses for the kingdom. We lost families and friends and, certain jobs and certain opportunities. And, okay, we was off the radar. Okay, in the kingdom where we could have been, the spotlight could have been on. No, we was off the radar. We chose like the spirit of Moses had in Egypt. Okay. Matter of fact, let's get this in Timothy, 2 Timothy, then we'll get that in Hebrews, man. This is heavy spirit, that Moses had. He was farsighted. All right, this is 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 5. It says, and if a man also strive for masteries, you see that? Yet is he not crowned, except he strive lawfully. Yeah, so when you're in certain competition, boxing, certain rules, you can't win the championship unless you, win within the rules. Okay? Sports, there's certain rules. Okay? You got to stay in bounds, for it to be, you see? You make a catch, you got to be in bounds. Okay, certain rules and regulations. All right, and able to win. You see, well, there's certain rules that we have to abide by in the truth, man. We can't sell out to Esau. Shouldn't join the church. All right, the 501c3. That's out of bounds. Okay, still calling on Christ. All this, that's out of bounds. Not teaching what the MOTB is, grifting the church. All that's out of bounds, man. You see, you can't win like that. Okay, on different podcasts and trying to make the truth world friendly and this. Nah, man, you're out of bounds, man, out of pocket. Okay, there's no way you can truly win like that. Nah, man, we're gonna do it the right way, man. We're gonna teach this word in season, out of season. Okay, sound doctrine, man, whether they hear or forbear. Okay, warning. Okay, constantly warning whether they hear or forbear. You see, brotherly love. You can't be false. All right, you can't be bearing false witness on your brother. That's not scribing lawfully, man. Calling brothers, rapists and pedos, and that's not scribing lawfully, man. That's out of bounds. Okay, even if we disagree in the doctrine, man, there's still bounds, there's still limitations. We can't just bear false witness because we don't agree in the doctrine. Okay, there's certain, like I say, rules and guidelines as we strive for the masteries, man. You see, and the Wali Yahweh Shema Shai, all right, beginning with the example of the apostles and elders, man, hey, we're able to do it the right way. You see? So let's go here in the spirit that Moses had. And he goes to the book of Hebrews, chapter 11. The spirit he had in Egypt, we had the same spirit in New Egypt, man. Okay, this is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, and verse starting 23 says, by faith, Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents because they saw he was a proper child, and they were not afraid of the king's commandment. By faith, Moses, selected by faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of the Most High than to enjoy the pleasure of sin for a season. You see? So by faith, Moses, when he was come to years, he refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He could, and that came with perks. It came with privilege. So he denied, he refused those privileges of being the Pharaoh's daughter and choose rather self-affliction with the people of Most High than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season, man. And that's the spirit we in, man, rather to enjoy the pleasure of sin for a season, man. Nah, man, we'll suffer for righteousness' sake. We'll suffer for Yahweh Bashem Al-Shai. We'll miss out on things. Like I said, we'll be off the radar. We'll be the unlikables. We'll be, we'll be mockery to our people. You see, we'll be the black sheep of the family. You see, rather than to enjoy pleasures of sin for a season, man. You look at our people. But this lesson was inspired by a lesson done by the beloved of the Bible. It was called Scrape from the Donkey's Mouth. And he was going into this rapper Gunplay. He used to be a Rick Ross nigga from Miami. And he talked about all the rituals. Okay, the voodoo, the dark magic he was into while he was in the industry. And he said, he got him condos and this and that, the women he was beating, certain charges. Okay. He was enjoying the pleasures of sin. And you think about it, man, look at these niggas, man. That nigga is a B-list celebrity at best, maybe C. At best a B-list celebrity. But even if you a triple, quadruple A-list celebrity, man, it's not worth it, man. And see, the Lord put the spirit on the elect to see, like, nah, man, it's not even worth it, man. Then you gotta betray. How about Shema Shai? You gotta betray yourself. Okay. Then you gotta subjugate yourself to the enemy on a whole nother level, man. Hell no, man. You know, for a few pleasures for a moment on this side, nah, man. You know, the Lord got us on the path to do it the right way, man. Damn these few little pleasures for a season, man. Moses didn't care about these few pleasures, about the few pleasures for a season. He was, because he wasn't just because these niggas are just, you know, athletes and rappers. No, Moses is gonna have true power. Moses is gonna be on the level of an elite. The son of Pharaoh, that's like, you know, Rothschild status. He was gonna be on the whole nother. You see? But no, he denounced it. Okay? And why did he do it? Verse 26, esteeming the reproach of Yahweh Shai greater riches than the treasures of Egypt. See, we see something more valuable, man. You know, we see something more valuable. First and foremost, it's going to be in righteousness. And it's going to be pleasing to our power. What we're doing is pleasing to our power, and we're going to be rewarded in righteousness. It's going to be forever, man. You know, I would rather have, you know, the power, the wealth, in the righteous kingdom, okay, than to have the crumbs of my enemy in the wicked kingdom, man. You see? So it says, esteeming the reproach of Hamaxiah greater riches than the treasures in Egypt, for he had respect unto the recompense of the reward, man. And say we have a respect to the promises of Yahweh Bashim Shai above what Esau can promise, man. You know, when Esau, he can give you the instant gratification, man. You know, the instant fame, the instant, you know, because now they just plant niggas. You know, now niggas are just being planted into the industry, man. You see, you come in the game, you know, this big following and #1 selling this and most, you know, stream this and they, you know, just have all these stats and, you know, you just have all this, you know, money or the illusion of money. Okay, Esau can bless these niggas instantly, man. You know, Jake has no integrity. Okay, and what does Jake do, man? They don't look at the promise and blessings as any value, just like Esau. Matter of fact, that's the spirit of Esau. Okay, let's get this real quick, and we'll come back to this. That's the spirit of Esau. You know, because when Esau had the blessing, he didn't have no respect to the blessing, man. And that's a spirit that 2/3 niggas come in, man. You know, these sell out niggas, man, they come in that spirit of Esau. When you go here, this is Genesis 25 and 29. And Jacob sighed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with the same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom, which goes into red. You know, niggas can even wait for the food to get done. That's how impatient and impulsive he is, man. And that's the spirit of our people that sell out, man. Impatient, impulsive niggas, man. Okay. You see that they're a slave to that you know, their lower nature. You see? That lustful appetite. And it says, and Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die. And what profit shall this birthright do to me? Yeah, that YOLO, you only live once spirit. Esau, like, look, man, I'm about to die, man. You know, I want what I want now. What profit is their birthright to me? He didn't have a respect to their promise, to the birth. He didn't care for it anyway, man. 2/3, they don't care about the promises, the inheritance of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Our people don't care about that, man. They want the right now. They want to be popular now. They want, all right, these little washed up chicks now, man. Okay? They want the clout now. They want to be looked at. You know, they want this illusion of power now. You see? And that's the spirit that Esau had. He wanted what he wanted right then. He didn't care about, all right, the long run, the end game, the back end. See, the Lord put the spirit on the elect to have a care for, forever, man. You see, when Jacob, he wrestled an angel, he was thinking about forever. He wasn't even thinking about just his one lifetime. He wrestled an angel for his descendants. You see, he had his descendants in mind. Esau had himself in mind at the moment. Okay? And that's a spirit that's on 2/3 of our people, man, to have their self in mind for the moment, man. And not to even consider the birthright. And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he swore to him. And he sold his birthright unto Jacob, man. This nigga sold the birthright, man. Okay, so this nigga talking about he's mad and Jacob. No, nigga, you sold the birthright, man. All right, and that's why the Lord is going to intervene. All right, Yahweh Shah is going to intervene, okay, with this dispute with Jacob and Esau, man. The devil, all right, makes his move towards the prophets, man. No, Yahweh Shah going to intervene. There's going to be a few martyrs, of course, okay, for the sake of prophecy. You see, but ultimately, man, Yahweh Shah is going to intervene against the devil, man. You sold the birthright, and it was always Jacob's anyway, okay? Clown ass nigga don't need no birthright. Look what he's doing now with his blessing. Okay? Esau not built to manage forever, man. You see? And then a few centuries, all right, is his longest run and it's over with. Okay? It says, then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Okay? So he did eat and drink. See how people want to eat and drink now. That spirit of feasting and, like I'm saying, and fame. Okay? How people want a certain lifestyle now. They don't care that we have an eternal kingdom promise. Okay, they want to live as celebrities on this side. Okay, in the kingdom of their enemy, man. You see, so Esau despised the birthright, but you go to the spirit of Moses, he was like, nah. Let's get that in Hebrews 11. So you go here, Hebrews 11 and 26. It said, esteeming the reproach of Amasiah greater riches than the treasures in Egypt, for he had respect unto the recompense of the reward. And let's see if we can get some more translations of that, man. So this is Hebrews 11 and 26 in the NLT. Say he thought it was better to suffer for the sake of Amasiah than to own the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking ahead to his great reward. See, we're looking ahead to a real reward, man, and it's gonna be in righteousness. It's gonna be forever, man. We're gonna be in good standings with our power forever, man, even beyond the tangible things, the actual wealth and palaces and the servants, even beyond the tangible things, man, just to have that peace of mind to know that we're going to be perfect in righteousness and that we're in good standings with our power and everything that we're doing is pleasing to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. To be in the presence of Yahushua. You see? To be a part of that governing body forever, man. You see, to be able to enjoy family forever, man. To enjoy the brotherhood forever, man. Okay? All our people being righteous, man. No more poverty, no more death. No more strife and confusion. Nah, man. Come on. We look ahead to something far better, man. You sell out to this nigga just so you can sit in the roped off section of the club, okay, with a goddamn tranny, waiter slash waitress, whatever this nigga is, man. Hell no, man. This ain't it, man. Okay, them leftover ass women, you just sold out last week, man. These women ran through for decades, and you just now get access to them, man. And that's some great achievement, man. Nah, man. Okay, we don't have that slave mentality anymore, man. Nah, man. We develop a ruling class mentality, man. Want this BS this nigga got to offer. This our enemy, man. Esau need to be in chains, man. Why would I want something from a nigga that's meant to be in chains? It's really not even meant to be on the earth, man. It's gonna be exterminated, man. And you gotta kiss this nigga ass and do all this madness for this nigga, man. Just to look like prosperity, man. Nah, man. It's a terrible deal you niggas taking, man. All right? And the deal get worse, man. You get this in the AMP, said that he considered the reproach of Yahushua, that is the rebuke he will suffer for his faithful obedience, all right, to the Most High, to be greater wealth than all the treasures of Egypt, for he looked ahead to the reward promised by the Most High, man. We have something far better, man. We have something far better, man. The Lord got us striving, lawfully for it, man, doing it the right way. Okay, let's go here. To the book of Zephaniah, getting an NLT. It's the book of Zephaniah, chapter 3. All right. Start at 18. It says, it's an NLT. It says, I will gather you who mourn for the appointed festivals. You will be disgraced. All right. You will be disgraced no more. Okay. You see? So the Lord, is going to take away the disgrace, man. And that's the thing too. What's the point of having so-called wealth and status, and your people are finished? Now the Lord blesses, even the believers. Certain believers have, this world's goods, to a degree. So there's nothing wrong with being well off. Okay. But to sell out and to, strive for, the blessings of Satan on this side, and then your people is still a disgrace in the earth, man. What's the point? Okay. Nah, man, we're fighting, all right, for the Lord to take off this reproach. Even we understand 2/3 got to be cut off, man. That's cutting off a reproach. And 1/3 going to be changed. 2/3 going to come back through, okay, the 1/3, man. In that new covenant, they're going to be born into perfection, man. No more reproach, man. No more being ashamed in the earth, man. You see? And we mourn for that, man. That's the thing, man. No, we thinking nationwide. We're not thinking about our individual self, individual situation, man. Okay? Verse 19, it says, and I will deal severely with all who have oppressed you. You see, and that's another thing. These heathens going to captivity, beginning with Esau, man. Okay, our people constantly cry about the injustices of Esau, man. Nah, man, ain't gonna be no more crying about the injustices of Esau. Man, they don't like black folks. Duh, nigga. Man, they do the black folks, man. See, the black folks don't get no help when it's a crisis, man. We white folks, man. You see, Jake still in that same dumbed down Sambo nigga spirit, man. Okay? Like Jake just don't mind being the victim and crying about this nigga all the time. Nah, man. The Lord finna put these niggas in chains, man, in captivity, man. They finna work. They finna be laborers, man. Okay? It says, I will save the weak and helpless ones, which is us, man. You know, because we're helpless in this situation, man. Without our power, we're helpless, man. I will bring together those who were chased away. I will give glory and fame to my former exiles wherever they have been mocked and shamed. Okay, so we're going to get glory and fame and righteousness, man. And it's going to be as the elect of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shah, the chosen people of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shah, man. Like some goddamn rapper, you know, a nigga that can dunk a ball. Okay, nigga can run fast in the straight line. You see, nah, man, we're going to have true glory and fame. Okay, as the kings and priests of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shah. Okay, in the same earth where we're mocked and shamed, we're going to have glory and fame. It's going to be the right way. Because we're waiting on the Lord to do it, man. The Lord to give us that promotion, man. The Lord to give us power, man. True power. Okay? It says, on that day, I will gather you together and bring you home again. That's the thing, too. We're going home to our homeland. You know? True Israel is going to be in Israel, man. That's another thing, man. We're going home, man. This is not our rest, man. Okay? It says, and I will give you a good name, a name of distinction among all the nations of the earth, as I restore your fortunes before their very eyes. I, the Lord, have spoken, man. So nah, man, we want the Lord to do this, man. He's going to restore us, man. Okay, I said we're going to have true wealth, man, resources, man. The earth is going to give forth its strength on a whole nother level, man. See, Esau is limited, man. He's capped off to what he has access to in the earth, man. We're going to have access to the earth on a whole nother level, man. You see, we don't look, I don't look at Esau kingdom as nothing great, man. Because what we got coming, man. Matter of fact, let's get that. Since I said that, man. Let's get that in Isaiah, man. You know, I don't look at this nigga kingdom where he got to offer nothing in it. There's nothing great, man. You know, and just thinking about what the Lord gonna do for his chosen, his beloved, man. Whatever this devil got, man, what you think the Lord gonna do for his chosen, his beloved, man? How you think he gonna set us up, man? Esau limited as hell, man. Okay? Now people look at this nigga as you know, like a god. You see? He a clown to me, man. Well, all right, and that's at best. Isaiah 65:17. It said, for behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come to mind, man. This shit ain't even gonna come to mind. We're gonna be so on in the kingdom, man. Okay? I mean, niggas think they living now. Niggas, you know, Instagram, the house, the car, you know. They got to show a picture every second of their life, man. I just bought this, I just copped this on this trip, on that trip, man. You know, niggas and nigga one. It's everything to them. I'm here, I'm there, I'm this. I'm on the boat, you know. Low level as hell, man. In your enemy's kingdom, man. Okay? But nah, man, we got a kingdom, we got a new heaven, a new rulership, and a refreshed earth, man. The earth is going to be off the, man. We ain't seen paradise yet, man. We don't seen but a few of his works, as the scriptures say. We don't seen but a few of his works, man. Okay? And the Lord got us doing it the right way. Matter of fact, let's end there. Let's get there. Wait a second. There's 2. Okay, started. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 2, verse 42. It says, I, Ezra, saw upon Mount Zion a great people, whom I could not number, and they all praised the Lord with songs. So Ezra is seeing the coronation, you know, of 144,000. You see, and in the midst of them, but he's seeing a big crowd, you know, because if you look at a big crowd of 144,000 people, you couldn't count their number you couldn't count those people, you know, by sight. You know, if you seen, you know, 8 people at one time, you can count them with your eyes. Okay, if you're talking about 144,000, you can't count their number with your eyes, man. You know, so Ezra's seeing this great crowd. You know, that's a great crowd at once, 144,000. You know, I don't think there's no stadium. You know, these big, huge. You know, even college football, I think they got some of the biggest stadiums. You know, I think the biggest one like 110,000. Okay, and that's crazy just to see the people. You know, so you can imagine 144,000 in one setting. Okay, you know, it says in the midst of them there was a young man of high stature, taller than all the rest, and that's Yahushua. And upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and he was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. Yeah, because you know he's going to be physically taller, man, but his status and his rank is going to be above. It's going to be exalted. Okay, above, you know, the rest of those kings that's being crowned. So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said to me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing and put on immortal, and have confessed the name of the Most High, and are now, it said, now are they crowned and receive palms. Okay, so this is the record of those that overcame, that they put off their mortal way of thinking. You know, because before we actually put off this mortal flesh and put on their new body, which is immortal, have to put off their mortal way of thinking, man. Selling out for the right now. Yeah, YOLO spirit, one life to live. That's a mortal way of thinking, man. Okay? No, we've put off their mortal way of thinking and we're putting on the immortal now, thinking beyond this place, thinking beyond this situation, man. You know? Because the promises are immortal. You see, the blessings are immortal, man. You see, the things of this age under Esau, they're mortal, man. You see, and we put those thoughts off, man. Okay? Verse 47 says, So he answered and said to me, It is the Son of the Most High, Yahushua, whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood stiffly for the name of the Lord, man, those that did it the right way. You know, and there's plenty more scriptures to go into, but, you know, the point being made, you know, just wanted to bring that out. Like I said, it was inspired by a lesson done by the beloved elder brother Baya. You know, he did it his channel, Ak of Judah, 2000, you know, in 11. You know, also, you know, GMS Prisons of Yahushua. Okay. But, you know, channel we share together. But, yeah, man, this lesson, he did inspire this, man. You know, because these niggas do all this BS, you know, just to be hot for a season and to get these defiled rewards from the enemy, you know. But we're doing it for true glory, okay, true power, and it's all in righteousness, man, you know. So, Lord, will you brothers and you few sisters edified till next time I say shalom, Yashallah, Abba, soon, shalom.